benefiting both the host country and China alike. The host country should have the latitude of tolerance to accommodate any possible reaping of geopolitical dividends in terms of expanding the sphere of influence by China. After all, this is the name of the game, which applies to all countries financing the projects. This may come as a collateral dividend to China in the case of BRI, as geopolitical influence is intangible. But under the framework of other rival infrastructure endeavors, such as the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, or in short, PGII, spearheaded by the US-led West, the G7, and the Global Gateway Initiative by the European Union, it is the investors' share of profit that must be factored in as a prerequisite. Ladies and gentlemen, from the perspective of potential BRI partner countries like Nepal, time has never been on your side, favoring small nation states as they have less tools to leverage. The best bet still lies in jumping on the viable bandwagon of pursuing common prosperity through economic integration and cooperation. And this should be underpinned by the ideal of fostering a community of shared interest, shared future, where least developed economies are given an equal place as an equitable stakeholders. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, I thank for your attention, and I do hope that in times to come, there would be more and more interaction, in-depth interaction and engagement between Nepal or even the entire South Asia with Southeast Asian countries in due course. On this note, once again, I thank you. 谢谢各位。
Thank you very much, our esteemed
Phewa University is dedicated towards the improvement of the infrastructure, adjustment to the needs of contemporary education, and promoting global competitiveness. Phewa University contributes to Nepal's development, empowerment, and advancement, making it a beacon of hope for Nepal.
Vice President of Sichuan University, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of China to Nepal, former ministers, my former colleagues from Planning Commission, Government of Nepal, distinguished participants. I can see many familiar faces around. Very good afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to this important event, and congratulations also for having had very, I would say, successful grand opening of this event. Having heard to the keynote speaker before and very unequivocal words about how China and the global economic and political powers are to be balanced in the global scenario, I'm afraid I may not be that unequivocal in several of the instances that Malaysia by its own strength could possess. But anyway, let me try to discuss some of the issues that I have in mind, giving justice to the topics. I would be discussing on the major trend of the industrial transfers, how they have been happening, and what is the options for South Asia. That's what I am supposed to speak. And in that, I would be speaking few avenues and potentials that South Asia possesses, that is on the demographic front, but perhaps also in the human resource and in human capital, to speak in a broader sense. and the kind of environment and climate change issues that the global world is facing. I think in that context, what options do we have? I would also be talking in terms of the recent trend in ICT, how that's evolving in this region over time. I would also be talking some points about the kind of renewable energy, the hot issue of debate which is related to climate change, and how our neighboring countries are suffering with that kind of energy issues. So based on those things, I would finally like to touch upon the kind of integration that we are worried about, inter-regional integration between South Asia and East Asia, ASEAN and SAARC. Why we have not been able to have a proper link between these two regional associations. I think those would be some of the areas I would like to cover. The global economy is witnessing structural shift. The shift in terms of location and relocation, but also shift in terms of the structure of the industry itself. Here we are not talking about a structural shift, we are talking about relocation or transfer of industries. But structural shift could be another issue that we might like to discuss in different forum. The shift is taking place not only in the conventional areas, but also in some of the new areas. Appearing within the tertiary and the quaternary sectors, and this is also because advancement of technology is creating new types of manufacturing, most notably in the high-tech industries. Recent industrial trend encompasses a shift to more regionalized hubs, a rapid transition to digital-first model of operations, adoption of more innovative approaches to sustainability, a deeper focus on skills and customer value. That's something which is we have to consider in this world of more responsibility of the producers to customers. Along with the structural shift, locational shift or transfer is changing the worldwide landscape of industries. Industries relocate their manufacturing activities in order to maintain low cost, that we everybody know, the low cost in production and to maximize profit. That's the value for the private sector. In doing so, they achieve competitive advantage in terms of lower input cost, attractive government incentive, and perhaps the larger market within the region or within the country itself. And there, the demographic situation matters a lot. Why such kind of industrial transfer is taking place and where it is taking place? Relocation of industries is taking place as modern transport is evolving so efficiently and cost effectively, and now distance doesn't matter much for relocations. The main winners of this relocation trend have been Asian countries, no doubt, particularly the so-called emerging economies, as the previous speakers spoke about how perhaps my friend, ambassador to Nepal from China, he spoke about how industrial shifts took place in 18th, 19th and 20th century, and how these little tigers became gradually big tigers in true sense. So that is the beginning of the kind of transfers in Asia. I think China and India were the beneficiary countries to begin with after the little tigers to benefit from the relocation of industries or transfer of industries. Recent studies show geopolitical uncertainties and high US tariffs that we are expecting even to deteriorate in the coming time. Let the new US government come in office. And these are some of the driving significant determinants to shift our industries from one country to another. It depends on how the industrial protection or trade protection measures are introduced by a country against the other. So that would also trigger the kind of transfer of industries from one country to another. But having said that, I would admit that the transfers are not simply taking either from advanced countries to developing countries like the ones, Ambassador, you spoke this morning, but they are also taking from developing country to developing country. And this is something which we should discuss, and South Asia should take advantage of that opportunity, particularly from